I ain't catch that.
Said, why are you so interested in my balls?
The last thing he cares about is your balls. Yeah, because on Saturday I hooked up with Shelley McIntyre.
The sophomore?
The sophomore. But in many ways, she was a senior.
I don't believe you.
You don't need to believe him.
It's not like your belief in him will value what happens to his dick.
You wanna know how it was?
No, not really.
Well, you see, as a 14-year-old in that kind of situation with a 16-year-old that looks like Shelley McIntyre, it was overwhelming, man. I mean, she is a woman. Fully developed, man. It's crazy, man. It's, man, you know what I'm saying? I said, do you know what I'm saying?
You just said it didn't matter if I believed you.
I changed my mind, bitch.
Hey guys, welcome to the Old Boys Podcast with me, Jared, and everyone's favorite other host, Dan.
Thank you for the wonderful introduction.
Still makes you laugh.
Still makes me laugh.
Dan, what is this show? What are we doing?
This show is where we watch a movie and we analyze the hell out of it and make jokes along the way. Sometimes we don't analyze it at all, and other times we don't make jokes at all.
Sometimes we analyze other movies that aren't the movie that we're analyzing.
Correct.
Because we don't like the movie that much. But I don't think that's the case for this film.
But I don't know if I'm going to make any social critiques with this one. I don't know. Maybe not. I have no idea. Let's see what's going to happen. I don't know. There are some things to say about this in terms of social critiques.
So we watched The Babysitter.
The Babysitter.
Well, Babysitter. And it was, I believe, completed in 2015, if IMDb is to be believed.
But then released on Netflix in 2017?
Yes.
Interesting.
And it was going to be released in theaters, but Netflix picked it up. And they're like, we want the rights to it. And they're like, okay.
See, just a heads up. That's kind of what happened to the film that I'm going to assign at the end of the show. Because I thought it was going to be a theatrical release, and it's not. It is, in fact, a Netflix exclusive, which is super interesting. It's like Netflix is coming in and eating up all the good films. Nom, 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 nom.
Do you think eventually it's just going to be Netflix making... there's no theaters anymore, it's just everything's a Netflix exclusive?
I don't know. I don't want to think so, but if... you just constantly have like these gigantic tentpole pictures that, you know, people like me don't give a fuck about. Like, I swear, you like to go, and I don't want to like berate you for liking to go, but like you're hurting society. Like all that's being made now is just this bullshit. It's becoming pointless for directors to try to release anything because the summer blockbuster is no longer here. It's just like whenever they finish a movie, they release it, and that destroys everything around it. So Black Panther came out, but like, you know, what else was going to be in the theater that week? You know what I mean? So it's like, it's almost, you have no point of entry anymore if you're like a film that's not necessarily independent, but like not necessarily a Marvel film.
Oh, so you're saying, well, here's the deal. And you know this too. I think a lot of people do, is that making a movie is a bad investment.
Yeah.
It's a dangerous, bad investment. And the people who put up the money to make these films want their money back and then more money. Mm-hmm. They want more money on top of that. So when they see something that works, they're like, oh, let's just keep doing that until it doesn't work anymore because I want my money back. And that stomps all over people who are like, I'm doing this because I love films, or, you know, this is a low budget thing from the heart.
The issue is we never had anything like this terrible system. Maybe back in the 1930s, whenever it was like a conveyor belt, like a assembly line, where, you know, movies were churned out like that. But it's like, it's all like this formula, this Marvel formula, it's all the fucking same thing. And every last blockbuster has to align to these standards. Otherwise, it's going to, quote, lose money. So why is it that we're in this stagnation of just the only thing that makes money is these just awful action pictures? It's all superhero.
Like I said, it's a weird formula they've come up with.
My argument here is we are in a new time that nobody has ever experienced. So we don't know how certain the future is. Like, we don't know what's going to happen because we've never seen anything like this before.
Are you saying this is the end times?
For cinema, quite possibly. I have no idea. But, like, I don't think it's good that the only films that are making money now, the only films that are just in the ring of competition are like these, like, just, I would liken them to gigantic Roman war gods who are hyped up on steroids, and then you know your little fucking Guillermo del Toro, The Shape of Water, comes in. He's like, hey, I made a movie that's not Pacific Rim, and then they're like, crush.
But that movie did well, didn't it? I thought it made money.
Yeah. To who, though? Critics? Like, what I'm saying is the populace doesn't care about those films anymore. Just given how popular, I don't know.
Because I feel like it's always been that way. There's always going to be a certain group of audience goers that want to see a specific thing, and then there's the rest of us.
Now,
and usually the rest of us is a small amount.
Yeah, well, here's the deal: the rest of us that we're talking about. So, like, I've written for this website. I'm not going to write for them very much longer because I don't feel like keeping up with it. But I've written for this website for so long, and I've just in the theater, watching films that I'm interested in, and then we have to associate with all the other reviewers or all the other press from Tampa. And all these guys, like, they hate all these other films that they have to watch, and they're only in it for, like, the fucking gigantic... It's like, why... Yeah. How are you saying that you love film and you like to critique it if all you want to do is just watch the next fucking Avengers movie? And, like, the guy I work for is the same way. It's like, he wanted to go see all the new ones because they're going to be awesome. It's like... Yeah, I'm sure they'll be awesome, but, like, did you not just see the Avengers Age of Ultron? And everybody thought that one was awesome.
Can you imagine if those were the only movies that existed? I would go insane. They're, like, all so similar.
That's what I'm saying, though. That's why I'm so upset, because to me, that's what I see. That's all that exists. It takes, like, 4 to 5 months before a movie that I want to go see in theater comes out. And then whenever it comes out, it's not released in my city. Yeah,
like that weird Nick Cage movie where he he tries to kill his kids or whatever. Yeah, I can see that. And what did we tell you about us going on off the rails
already?
We're supposed to talk about The Babysitter, and we talked about this. But I like this conversation. And I mean, who knows what's going to happen? I don't know. Like a whole nother fad could happen, Dan.
We will probably, as soon as it happens, we're going to live stream that event. Cinema is dying.
Some other weird thing could take
dancing
over.
On its grave.
Right now, Disney fucking owns everything, and it's just Marvel, DC, and Disney. They're all gonna just jerk your dick until there's nothing in it anymore. They're just gonna take all the money out of it.
Yeah, and then the apocalypse is gonna happen. I'm gonna travel out to you by horse because we don't have cars anymore, and I'm going to rip your head off because you have actually funded bullshit like Marvel movies. And then I'm going to drink my wine out of your skull in celebration.
Oh, that's fun. Oh, hey, can I give my review of The Black Panther? Because I saw that movie.
Sure.
Okay, here's my review of The Black Panther. It was okay. It was pretty good. End of the review of The Black Panther. No, so the movie has Forrest Whitaker in it, by the way, which is cool. Visually beautiful. The story was actually pretty good. Like, I like the story. But the action scenes, they were just okay. They weren't very good. I don't know. I didn't like them very much. Everything else was great. But I was just like, some of these action scenes, especially towards the end, I was just like, CGI Rhino, I don't know. I don't want to see that. But yeah, a lot of really cool visuals. Especially for the, like, because they go to Wakanda, Africa, and it's all like sci-fi. Mm-hmm. It's really cool. They did a really good job with that, cool. Like the costume effects and stuff.
I understand it's a very important movie for, the idea that it's strong, African-American leads, but it's just unfortunate that I don't want to watch it because it's a fucking Marvel movie.
I don't blame you if you're sick of just watching those films because it doesn't really do much.
I've not seen a single Marvel film, I don't think.
You're not really missing out.
I know I'm not missing out.
Except for Guardians of the Galaxy. The first Guardians of the Galaxy is really good. The Winter Soldier, I also think, is a very good movie. Just as a movie, it's really good.
But I have no interest in
Ant-Man. Maybe if you watch Ant-Man, I think Ant-Man's really good.
Interest in them.
But Dan, here's the thing about Ant-Man. It's like a heist movie. It's not even like a regular Marvel action movie thing. The whole film is like a heist film.
Is that why nobody talks about it anymore?
Probably. I don't think it was like a huge hit. I mean, I think it made money. They're going to make a sequel, but it was a very unique film.
I see.
In terms of what they were doing. But anyways, let's get back to the actual film that we're supposed to talk about. The Babysitter.
The Babysitter.
Okay. Dan, how I want this show to go, and because I think it's been working well, and we don't have to do this, but we'll do our first impressions, and then I kind of like you giving a very short synopsis of what the film, like what happens in the film. So then everybody knows, even if they haven't seen the movie, exactly what's up, and then we just go through and break down everything.
Okay.
How does that... Okay. So my first impressions, initially, when I saw the stills for this film, it looked like some bullshit Twilight trash, and I was like, man, this movie looks terrible. And then I heard other people talking about it, like, oh, The Babysitter, it's really good, it's really good. And I'm like, there's no way it's good. And I turned it on, I'm like, I'm going to give it a chance, because I assigned it, and I'm like, maybe we'll just see. I don't know. And I start watching the first 10 minutes of the movie. And I'm like, this is really good.
Mm-hmm.
I'm liking the first 10 minutes of this movie. It's stylistic.
Super stylistic.
The director, McG, which is a weird name, but I don't know. He's like Prince, I guess. He did a really good job. All the acting is well done.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the lead. Like the little kid does a really good job, too. Everyone does a great job. And it's just, I love some of the shots and camera work he does. And I was so impressed that I stopped the film and I texted my girlfriend. And I'm like, you should watch this movie with me because I thought this movie was going to be bad, but it's actually pretty entertaining so far. And I stick with that sentiment up until near the end of the film.
What?
Because I don't like endings.
I love this ending. Is this going to be the first one that we like, you don't love it, but I do?
We find movies like this all the time where we disagree. Don't say it's the first.
I don't know. Because I hate endings more than you do, and I love the shit out of this ending. Very interesting way to open the film. I will say that. Like the opening was just bizarre. So in the very first scene, you're still kind of in this like, what is happening here? But then immediately after that, the film makes me laugh in a very juvenile way, and I'm like, if this is what it's going to be, I'm just going to make my body think that this is what it's going to be. And if you just go into that juvenile mindset to where it's like you're appreciating the film, but also ready to just take on 14-year-old humor, it's one of the best fucking things in the world.
It is kind of weird because it is young teen comedy, but with a hard R.
Yeah, no. It's like everything that you loved. It's like this show. It's like everything that you loved about being a teenager in terms of the humor, but then just you grew into being a 30-year-old.
And young me would love this movie.
Man.
This would be like a fucking...
It would be the best movie in the world.
Two girls making out? Yeah.
It would be the best movie in the world.
It would be awesome. But like older me, I see the two girls making out scene. I'm kind of like...
yeah.
Can we...
Yeah,
I wanted it to go to the next scene, please?
I wanted it to end for sure.
I was like, this is going on a long time. But I get why it's there, I guess.
And it was tastefully done. Like
it was good. It was just too long.
Yeah, it was. Well, but then is that it being too long, or is that our grandpa pants saying, "All right, let's go"?
My grandpa pants are on too tight. I have to take my diabetes medication. I can't be here all day watching.
So yeah, I very much enjoyed this film through and through. Awesome. I think it was very well written. I think the cinematography choices were insane. They did some crazy shit I've never seen done before, which I loved. And
there's some great sequence shots that are like, this is fucking rad.
Stylistically, like all the shit that comes up on screen, it's like typically I don't like doing that, but it fit the film so well.
Oh, it was wonderful.
But yeah,
this movie, it felt newer, but also had a lot of classic things to it, like the storytelling.
That's probably the best part about it. It's like it feels contemporary, but the writing, I don't necessarily want to call it nostalgia because I didn't feel nostalgic for this film. Nothing spurred up a nostalgia in me, but you needed to have a sense of recall in order to
a total recall.
A total recall, actually, yes, of course. But it like for being such a insane horror film, it was very endearing, and you cared about every relationship, which is something that's never done in a horror film.
Even for the villains, too, I was kind of like...
for sure, that's what I'm saying.
Like the shirtless psychopath guy, I was like, does he need to die? What if he just became best friends with the little kid and they go around killing people? Like, I'd watch that.
Yeah.
But yes, there are a lot of references the movie makes to other horror films.
But like, and it was not annoying references
I didn't find
either.
it distracting
Because it was part of the story.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's pull this baby out and show
damn.
it to you.
Can we just review the film instead of doing that? Because that's disgusting.
So,
what you said.
Essentially, it's about this little kid, Cole.
Old King Cole.
Old King Cole, who is, a nerdy kid who gets picked on a lot at school.
Yes,
and
he is a wimp.
He's a wimp. He has a babysitter, and this babysitter is like the light of his life. He's very, into her. Like they have so much fun together. And like
she's a supermodel.
Yeah, the fun, but she's like a fun person. In addition to that,
the best babysitter
in the world
ever.
Yes, of course,
in the world.
So, she really is.
It's insane.
He also has like this kind of love interest that I want to bring up. So he has a love interest at school that's not the babysitter, but he's head over heels for this girl, and her
Melanie
name
is
B.
Melanie's the little girl, and B is the name of the babysitter. We just call her the babysitter.
So the babysitter saves him from being bullied at one point, and then mom and dad are kind of in a rocky part of the relationship. They don't want Cole to know, so they go away for the weekend to a hotel every once in a while, and that's why.
Is that what's going on? Because I was a little confused about that.
They're on edge, and like they get away from it all. They escape Cole, but the joke is they escape Cole to like go do it, but whenever we see what they're actually doing, it's like, oh, they're just fucking awful people. Anyway.
Yeah, I didn't get that. That was a little weird.
So they make a habit, and that's why B and Cole are so close, because they do this all the time. Like, we are supposed to understand that's what happens a lot. So what happens is they are away for the weekend, and essentially Cole, it's like the most innocent thing. He's like, I want to know what happens. Or no, Melanie encourages him. It's like, you should find out what...
she dares him.
Like, I dare you to like wake up and then just go down there and see what they're doing. Because like they'll do what your parents are doing for sure. He does this, and then it's exactly like any little, twerp's dream. You get to see them having their party, and it's just sexually fueled.
They're playing spin the bottle, yep.
And then all of a sudden, they essentially murder the person that's the brand new person in their group, and then just shit hits the fan, and then they find out that Cole has witnessed the whole thing, and they have to clean up their act. Or like they have to, how do you say it? Tie up loose ends. That's what it is.
Tie up loose ends. All right.
We don't want any loose ends.
Literally and figuratively.
The rest of the film is Cole trying to get away from the insane teenagers that are trying to kill him, and still somewhat make sense of where he stands with B in terms of their relationship.
Yes, so it's like it's just a new chapter, a growing moment in his life where he has to basically not be a little baby anymore.
Yes.
He needs to grow up and man up, or shut up. It's a pretty classic tale of young whippy kid becomes the hero and learns confidence and all other shit. But what's weird is like the villains and all the bad people are mentoring him as they're trying to kill him. Like he's...
Yes, that was very strange.
It reminded me I was in a film because it was very focused on helping him. And that didn't bother me that much. But the thing that did bother me was there are moments where the characters will do actions or different things that make you remember, we are watching a film because this doesn't make any sense. And the only reason this is happening in the movie is because this is a film. And if it happened how you would want it to, you should do this because this is what you would do. The movie would just be over. I think
that's why I like the film so much, for exactly what you're talking about.
Really?
Like, as soon as that happened and I realized that was happening, I'm like, oh, I'm going to try to appreciate this as an aesthetic because it happened so many times. Like, it was meant to be done. Which is probably why I like the ending so much, because the ending is ridiculous. And you're like, why the fuck is this happening? Oh, wait. This is the only thing that could possibly happen right now.
The ending was very subversive to your expectations, and it just depends on if you like that payoff or not, or if it was the most insane thing you've ever seen. Like, what the fuck?
How do you not like it if it wasn't the most insane thing you ever seen?
I don't know. Well,
Well, all right.
Continue
All right.
further.
So we're opening up on Cole.
We opening up, guys.
We opening up on Cole. He in the nurse's office of his school, and the nurse's office is trying to draw his blood.
Yes, and it's bright wallpaper. He's standing there with no shirt on. He's like very vulnerable, and there's this man trying to give him a flu shot.
Oh, it's a flu shot,
and it's so awesome because the director does a very good job of showing panic, and I'll point out several different ways on how the film shows emotion just through the camera work. One, he's very nervous right now, and he's freaked out. He doesn't want the shot.
Lots of close-ups of the face.
Yes, the nurse is trying to talk him into doing it. And while he's doing that, it's only showing close-ups of the kid's face and the man's face, but they make sure to frame in the needle. And it's like that closeness of their faces gives you anxiety because you can't see anything else. Just boom, 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 back and forth, them talking. Really good job of showing how paranoid he is of that. Later on, when he's talking to his love interest and his best friend, Melanie, I believe.
This is my favorite part right here.
Whenever they talk, the world moves in slow motion.
It's so
except
fucking
for them.
Great. It was,
and that is a
so
really good way of showing how much these two like each other.
I've never seen that before in a film.
It's genius.
It was totally genius. So
it's
good on you.
It's really fucking good.
Good on you.
It's a really cool effect, and it completely captures. You know exactly what is going on and what that means with these two characters, and they do it several times. And I'm like, man, what a clever way to show that these two are in love with each other. But they do stuff like that throughout the film that make me really appreciate it. So we have this scene, and it really establishes that Cole is afraid. He's a scaredy cat. And then we get a bunch of other scenes where people are picking on him. He gets a basketball and a soccer ball thrown at his head, you know? Those
are the parts that are, like, as soon as the basketball one happened, I laughed my ass off. I'm like, this film's awesome. So essentially what happens is he has these moments of like just staring off into off into space, and the camera kind of does this slow zoom on him. And then as it's zooming in slowly, a basketball wings him in the side of the head, and then you think that's it, and it's like, oh, he's just a little bully kid. But then the guy who throws it just like runs into the background. It's like, pussy!
Yeah.
And I just laughed so
funny.
hard. And then
the title card comes up.
The title card comes up, and then the soccer ball one was fantastic because he was like flashing back. And it's like, it's going through all this, like, what his thoughts are. And it's like, it's so endearing and so like, oh, wow, I'm getting into this character so much. And they bookend it with him getting in the face with the soccer ball. And you're like, oh, that's hilarious. And then you hear in the background again, pussy.
Yeah, it was pretty great.
It was wonderful.
They established very early on that this kid is bullied a lot.
By the best group of bullies in the world. The kid who, I need to look him up. The kid who's the bully.
The three Chubbs.
Chubbs.
The Chubb boys.
Oh my god. But the main bully, he's one of the best actors in the film, I think. He does such a good job.
I think I have his name right here. Miles J. Harvey. He's fantastic. He was great.
He's so good at being like this dick.
Yeah, he was wonderful.
And he had the best written lines for any bully of any movie I've ever heard. Ever.
It was pretty great. And those three bullies confront him, and basically they have Jeremy is his name in the movie, but he's just the king bully. And he's got the two hype men who just, they sit to his sides and just parrot anything that he wants them to. And it's so good. And it's like, he's like making fun of him for his balls dropping. And he's like, why are you so interested in my balls? And then like the main bully doesn't even answer. It's the side bully who's like, he's not interested. Like, they're like answering for him. It was fucking great. And then they're like beating him up and they push him down. And then the babysitter shows up and he's like, are you guys picking on Cole or whatever? And then this is a great intro to this character. And she's like, if you ever do anything to him again, I'm going to do this. And she whispers into his ear. And they're really good with music in this. Like, music cues are so fucking well done in terms of like making you feel a certain way. And he's just like, you crazy bitch. I forget what he really says. But he's so terrified, he just runs away, and she stabs his tire and like gives him a flat. God damn it, it's so good. I also love how even after that, the bully still picks on the kid. Like, he still doesn't care. He's like, I'm gonna still pick on him.
And like throughout the film, his name is Cole. Like the kid's name is Cole. I like all the little names they give him. Like the first one's like, "What's up, colonoscopy?"
Yeah, colonoscopy.
Come on, colon cancer.
It's so great. So good. And then, so the babysitter, they do a good job of establishing that her and Cole are really good friends.
Mm-hmm.
And they're in her vehicle, car or whatever together. And she literally is like, they're having a good time. They're talking about how much fun they're going to have when she sits for him that night or whatever. And she says she's going to give him her vehicle in a few years when he gets old enough to drive, and like all this really crazy stuff. And there's a really great scene where she reaches over to grab something in the back seat and he's staring at her boobs. Mm-hmm. And she is just staring at him, watching him watch her boobs. Mm-hmm. And he finally looks up. Oh, God damn it. It was such a funny scene. But it's weird. It's almost too perfect. You're kind of like, there's got to be something else going on here. But it was nice that she was like kind of like that rock for him. Mm-hmm. Or that like, hey, you know, I'm weird, but maybe weird is okay. And she's kind of telling him all these good things about him. And then it's interesting that gets pulled out from under him to where like, oh no, your support system that like told you, you know, stick up for yourself, all those other things that you were learning that were good. She's actually an evil, satanic monster.
Let's kind of more emphasize how much of a bedrock she actually is. So like she's saying it's okay to be weird. And as you described her, like she's this supermodel person, like this perfect babysitter. And it's not only the level of attractiveness that she has to him, but just what makes her so good to him is not just physical, but also just intellectual. Like she makes sure that she likes everything that he likes. And he's able to bond with her as if he was talking to himself. What
makes it interesting is that you don't really know if the babysitter really was fond of Cole and they were actually like they actually had a connection where they were really good friends, or if it was all fake and all an act. And it's pretty fascinating because I don't think that ever really gets resolved in the mind of the audience. It's just kind of left for you to determine, does she really like Cole or does she just need him for his virgin blood, the blood of the innocent?
So Cole's parents are amazing.
Yes.
I like them a lot as characters. Like they had some of the funniest lines in the entire film. So Cole's mom is like cleaning out the basement for rats, and Cole won't go in there because he's afraid of spiders. And you know, I'm afraid of spiders too, but like this film makes the basement like a caricature of a basement. So there's fucking tarantulas.
It's Hollywood tarantula basement with fucking Halloween cobwebs everywhere, you know? It's like very it's a very movie horror film basement. It's pretty great. They do a good job of establishing a lot of things, like the toy car in the hallway. It's referenced like 3 or 4 times, either showing it or talking about it. There is his dad trying to teach him how to drive and how he's afraid.
That is one of my favorite scenes. I forgot to write it down, but Dad says something that was hilarious during that scene.
It was because the little kid is like, you know, every day 17 drivers die or something. He's like, well, do you know every day that 14 teens die of over worrying? And he goes, yeah, I looked them up on the internet. They look like this, and he like
makes a really funny face.
And then he's like, you know, I feel like a cop right now because I could use some donuts. And then they start spinning around in the parking lot. The parking lot is covered in skid mark tracks. It was so great. I loved that. And that's got to be a real place, right? I mean, I just love how that's a place.
What makes me laugh about that is it's probably they made no attempt to hide the fact that they probably made some of those in previous takes.
Oh, yeah, probably, for sure. And I just love how every shot is framed so well. Yeah. It's almost like there's a beginning, middle, and end to every little scene. Like when the bullies show up, they have that little stuffed animal doll, and it kind of shows the curb. And it has the bullies like riding on into the scene with that, using that pink little doll as like a visual cue to look that way. Yeah. So you're looking at the doll, and then you see the bikes ride over it, and you're like, oh, the bikes. And then your eyes are following the bikes. And it leads you right into the scene where the kid gets bullied. And I'm like, why is this film so good? And then, like the scene where the parents are leaving, and they're packing up.
My God!
And the camera is just following them throughout the house.
It's just a POV of Cole.
But what's crazy is that the camera spins around and shows Cole too.
Yeah.
So it's like a disembodied view of him, and then it comes back and views him, and then goes back again.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
It's really well done. And then they follow them outside. That whole sequence is like, the whole movie could just be this and I'd be fine with it. But that was awesome. And what was weird too is looking at stills of the film, it looks like that main house was a stage. So I'm wondering, how did they do the stage and then leading outside to an actual backyard outside? I don't know how they movie magic, I guess. But it was really well done. I liked it. And so let's cut to
the first night of them babysitting.
Yes, he's going to stay up, and the babysitter wants to give him some alcohol, I guess, to help him sleep, with quotes.
But before that,
okay,
they dance a little bit, and I think it's important just to note
you're right.
that they're making a pizza, and they have this top 6 team of your space captain. Like, who's your space exploration team, essentially?
No, okay, I get it. All right, 1, Kirk. 2, Picard. 3, Will Smith and Jeff Goldblum from Independence Day. 5, Ripley. And 6, are you ready for this shit? A xenomorph egg.
No way.
Yeah. Yes. Okay, here's the plan. Kirk and Picard team up to Captain. Then when they get close, they send in Will and Goldblum to get inside the lair because they have experience with that shit.
Fair.
Now, this whole time, Ripley's been bitching about the xenomorph egg and shit because that's her move. But she knows she gotta do this because it's the only way to save the world.
The universe.
Right, exactly. So, Will and Goldblum get her inside the lair. Ripley personally drops off the egg. The facehugger attacks the big bad. Ripley makes it back to Will and Goldblum. The big bad attacks them. They narrowly escape. Kirk and Picard supply cover as the spacecraft returns home. Then they peace out of there. Meanwhile, big bad starts feeling like shit. And he's out.
Who said he was a he?
And then she has an answer immediately, and we never get to see his, and his comes back later in the film.
That was kind of entertaining, and I just thought it was like a little thing. You're like, okay. And we cannot stress how good this babysitter is. She does a dance party.
Yes.
She makes pizza. Literally the entire night she's engaged with him. They go and watch a movie out in the backyard on a big screen.
This is my favorite scene in the film. Just
and they
aesthetically,
act out the movie. They
act out the movie while standing in front of the projector, so they are the characters that they are impersonating are being projected onto them persons, or onto their persons,
onto them
persons as they were acting it out. Oh, it was so like that's what media students just like eat up, just like the.
Oh God. I got up my film deck and I just started crazy on that.
I did, in my head.
Like, oh, I love cinema. Oh,
much
cinema on cinema. I love it. Oh, so much cinema.
Now I know why they call it cinema. You know what I mean?
Cinema sandwich.
Cinema sandwich.
It was a cinema sandwich, guys. I loved it. I could have just watched that. I could have watched that entire film with them acting it out.
Yeah.
Because I am a crazy person. You know what else does that? House of Cards. They did that. I'm
sorry, I don't listen to things or do anything that has to do with a child molester. I'm very offended by you offering me that purpose. And
God damn you, Kevin Spacey.
I don't care about anybody or anything that went into that project, even though many other people are responsible for it besides this one person. But because it's that one person, I do not agree with his ideals. Therefore, he is the only thing that matters.
Dan, would you say that his ideals are not congruent with your own?
I would say that. But then I run the risk of him coming to me as like, but what if they are? And I'll be like, I don't want to molest children.
The ultimate argument. But yeah, we'll put that over. I'm going to put that hat back on the hanger there. So
I was just making fun of people. That's all.
I know. Yeah, I know. It's just sad. It sucks. Fucking Kevin Spacey. The movie Billy Jack is what they were watching.
Yes.
Have you seen that film before?
No, but I want to.
It made me want to see it.
Yes.
I like when a film can introduce an older film into it and then make you interested in watching that.
I've heard of Billy Jack.
Without taking away from the movie, I guess. Because sometimes it'll, like a movie will reference another film and you're like, oh, I wish I was watching that movie. But somehow this movie did a good job of doing that. And I appreciate it.
I know Billy Jack was on Netflix a while ago, like 2 years ago. And I just...
It looks like such a campy film. I'd enjoy it. So we've well established that this babysitter is above and beyond the best babysitter in the world for some reason. It's out of control how good she is.
Yeah, parents call back. It's like, listen, we can't hire you anymore. You're too good.
Yeah, I know. She is. It's creepy how good she is. And the only time you ever see it where it was like, maybe something weird's going on is when she offers him alcohol. She's like, hey, I'll give you some alcohol before you go to bed. And she's like, how about a double shot? And then that was like a red flag in my brain. I'm like, because this kid's 14. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that's a weird, like, why does she want him to go to sleep? What's going on? And he wants to stay up because of the dare or whatever. Yeah. So she brings him the alcohol and he's like, oh, you're not going to do one with me? And then she leaves. And then he pours it out. I can see, because she drugs it, I guess. Yeah. I can see why, because she says that it would make him sleepier. And then he just pretends that he took it. So then he goes to sleep that night, or like pretends to. And then we have the whole scene with the spin the bottle. And we're introduced to all these characters.
Yeah, Jock Boy Quarterback.
Which is Max. But he could be the jock.
You have cheerleader.
It's basically the jock.
Preppy girl.
Allison.
You have token black guy.
John.
Who's like doing his best Kevin Hart impression, which I think he was funny, but though. He should have just not been Kevin Hart. He would have been even funnier, I think. Because all of his shit was amazing.
Maybe that's him.
I loved every bit of it.
But he was funny, man.
I do remember Sonia because she's...
Sonia Blade.
She's the eccentric
the weird goth. Yeah, the eccentric.
And then Samuel is the human sacrifice, who's like this nerdy dude who's just like new to the group,
who is basically like an adult version of Cole. And then as the night goes on and they keep playing Spin the Bottle, it becomes more and more obvious that the nerdy guy is really freaked out, and you're not really sure why. And then he finally says that he doesn't know any of them. And this is all very spontaneous that he's in this house with these strangers.
Well, you see him earlier in the film, like, I guess B was picking him up at a convenience store or something.
Yes.
That's what...
Well, in that scene,
what he was looking at before he got hit in the face with a soccer ball. That's what it was.
And it was almost like he's probably like thinking of himself as that guy. And that's why I thought that was her boyfriend. It was just some dude she was picking up for the sacrifice. So how it works, she's got this Necronomicon book... And apparently they got to kill a dude, and then they got to get also the blood of an innocent. They do the ritual by reading this book, and then whatever your wildest dreams are, they come true. And it's assumed that the babysitter has done this before. Is that safe to say? So do you think that the babysitter has just kept doing these wishes until she became who she is? A supermodel lady?
Possibly,
You know what I mean? Because it made me think, like, maybe she didn't even look this way before doing all these rituals. And I find that, okay, that's believable. I understand that. But the thing that's hard for me to get around is when they kill this dude, there's so much fucking
but this is the best.
Everywhere.
This is like, I love that. I knew it was not realistic.
I was fine with that, but how did they clean it up?
She's just good at it. She's just good at it. She's been doing it forever. But okay,
there's so many dead bodies.
So here we go. They have that spin the bottle scene, and she like the jock says, "Hey, why don't you kiss everybody in the room?" So he she kisses everybody in the room, and then you have that like really extended kissy scene with the two girls, and then she licks the black guy's face because he was like getting really horny in the first place.
He put on chapstick and shit.
And then she goes all the way around, and then she kisses Samuel, but then shoves two knives in his head. Right? So she stabs him in the head
while the Cole is watching from upstairs. And it does this holy fucking shit.
Yes, and that was wonderful. Or no, it was
the
what
text.
The fuck. Yeah, it was so
what the
good.
Fuck, yeah.
So, because that's exactly what you are thinking in that moment. Even though Netflix kind of gives it away saying, you know,
a little bit.
He stays up only to find that she's a satanic worshiper, but you just don't know that it was going to go that insane. And it was wonderful. So his reaction to all this is priceless because it keeps cutting from them doing this to his reaction. And it's so well done. But then you have, this, it's so insane. So you just have knives sticking out of a dude's head and you're like, oh my God, this is gruesome. This is crazy.
What's crazy is that, like, he's standing. He never falls down. He's just standing there. And then they take these goblets and they rip out the knives.
Okay, they rip out the knives, and then it starts pouring into these goblets. They're like, okay, I guess that's how it works. And then one of them stops working. And then this is where it's like, all right, this is not just an insane movie, but it's an insane, and let's just play with insanity. Where the black guy's like, hey, mine's not working. What's going on? And he's like trying to fuck with it, and blood just starts shooting into his face, like just projectiles into his face, and he freaks the fuck out.
Yes!
It's hilarious.
He's like, I'm gonna get AIDS!
Oh, it was so good.
And then he gets covered again. It becomes a running joke.
So, Cole does what he needs to do. He goes upstairs, freaks out a bit, calls the cops. Great. The cops are going to show up. Like, does he get caught before the cops show up?
He calls the cops and he opens his window to see if he can escape. And then all of the kids come up to see him, and he jumps back in his bed and pretends to sleep.
And then he gets his arm pricked. And of course they miss the vein, which is hilarious.
They draw his blood, but he's afraid of needles, so he has to, man up and pretend he's still sleeping. Ugh. And pretend he's sleeping while they draw his blood. And they're like yelling and screaming, and they're like, well, he's heavily sedated. He won't wake up. So they draw his blood, and then they all leave, and his plan works. He jumps up, he like ties all of these blankets together. He's going to jump out the window, and then he just faints. He falls down. And I thought maybe, did they realize he was awake and they drugged him while they were giving him the needle? But he just passed out. And when he wakes up, we have this shot of him looking at all the characters, and it shows the jock has his shirt off. And the first thing the kid says is, why is that guy's shirt off? And what's amazing
is the answer
is that, well, yeah, but he's like, out of all the questions you have right now, that's the thing you want to ask is, why is that guy's shirt off? And then the cheerleader's like, well, why isn't his shirt off?
That's what I was saying. Yeah, that part.
Which, I mean, yeah, that's a good response. But what's wonderful is the reason I didn't give this movie the time of day for a while is because they use that as the still for the movie, where it shows all the characters, and it's just like that one dude with his shirt off. And that's exactly what I said when I first saw
Why is his shirt
off? Yeah, I'm like, why is this fucking dude's shirt off? What is this, Twilight? And it made me not want to watch the movie. And then the first time they show that dude, that's exactly what that character says. And I'm like, oh, that makes perfect sense. But, it's a detriment to the film because it makes people think it's something else. And it's not. And it was nice. Maybe it's something for the ladies,
Or me.
There you go. Or just for Dan.
For me.
So he's tied up. They're interrogating him, seeing how much he knows. And he has a pocket knife on him that they had established, and he starts cutting the ropes and like doing small talk like you would in an action movie, He's like, well, no. And then the cheerleader's like, oh, it's so cute. He thinks he's trying to escape, but there's a mirror behind him, and we can see him doing all of this. And then he starts cutting faster, and he's like, oh, it's so cute. He's cutting even faster. He's gonna escape. It was fucking great. Man. So at this point, I don't really find the cheerleader that annoying. I think her character is the right amount of, preppy cheerleader.
Yeah, not until she gets shot. Once she gets shot, she complains.
Later on in the movie, it gets really bad. And just because you reference that a character is bad in your own film and then kill her as a joke to shut her up doesn't make that character...
does not redeem you. You're right.
Entertaining.
You're right.
Yeah, it still makes it bad.
So, cops show up.
Cops show up, baby.
And, we had the insanity of having, shit stabbed into people's heads. And you're like, okay, this is where we are.
Yes.
Cops barge in. Now, we're even though everything that's led up to this moment has been crazy, were you expecting the level of insanity that is the way the cops die?
This scene is fucking great.
I was not.
No, I was not. No.
It was crazy. I have no idea. Like, I just was not ready for any of it. It was gruesome. So they come in, guns ablazing, and they're like, what's going on? What's going on? And they're just, the joke is they immediately aim at the black guy. So that leaves the jock to be able to do with what he pleases. So he grabs a fire poking stick from the
fire poker. Commonly known as the fire poking stick,
yes, of course. And
Yes.
he wails it across the room at the older cop's head, and it goes through his eyeball.
It was like he was hunting the white whale on the high seas. Harpoons this fucker.
God.
And then he stumbles around, and the dead guy fires the gun as he falls, and it shoots the cheerleader. But they kill the 2 cops. And the cheerleader's bleeding out. She's complaining. And even at this point, when she's like, oh, I'm dying, blah, 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 I was like, okay, it's fine. So during all the commotion, the little kid gets out of his bindings and runs upstairs. And then the character John, the comic relief, I guess, who I thought would be around longer since he was comic relief.
No, he dies immediately.
He runs upstairs to chase him. Yeah, Cole pushes him, and of course he finally trips over the damn RC car, which has been there the whole movie. And he trips and falls, and like some award, like a trophy, goes through his head.
This film is like...
Pretty graphic. It was brutal.
I forgot to bring this up in my first impressions, but essentially, as soon as Cole realizes what's going on, it becomes the most R-rated version of Home Alone in the world.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
into
for
it,
sure.
though. I loved it. I love the change of gears from like the setup to the actual film was fucking great. The rest of the film is just a cat and mouse game between all these different characters and Cole trying to survive.
So after John dies, it's the Sonia
Blade.
He runs into the garage, gets a firework.
So how he gets there is he rappels down the house with the blankets, but the crazy jock, the shirtless jock, is chasing him. And he grabs the blanket. He's like, oh, hey. He's like fucking with him. And he starts pulling up the blanket to get him. And then he lets him go and he falls. He goes, hey, you should probably take a minute. Catch your breath. That was a hard fall. And he's like, I'll be down soon. I love how this guy, Robbie Amell, who plays Max the jock, his character is just a psychopath.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I'm not like anybody else here. I came here to kill people.
Yeah, he is there to enjoy hunting and killing people. So, like, he toys with Cole a lot, and I love that. It's like such a cat and mouse thing where he wants him to struggle and try to get away from him, or it's not fun. And it's a good, because it makes more sense to what he does later. So he gets down there, and like you said, he hides in the crawl space, right?
Yeah.
After he gets like a firework, a can of aerosol spray. I forget the other shit he gets. It's a real creepy thing where he's hiding under the blanket. The only thing that, again, it's like, oh, we're in a movie, because like, how does Sonia know to look in the crawl space? Because the logical thing would be the little kid would run down the street and run away from the house as fast as possible. He wouldn't go back in the house, in the crawl space, in the place that he's the most afraid of.
Good point.
What? That doesn't make any sense.
Good point.
And there's no way they would look for him down there. But it's a movie. So it's like you kind of just have to suspend your disbelief. But it's cool. So he traps her in there with the firework, and she's like stabbing through the grate that he's holding, and he's trying to screw back in. And then it explodes in this big CGI explosion. He gets thrown back. And then she goes, that didn't kill me, you motherfucker. And then another explosion goes off, and then she dies. And then who shows up, Dan? Do you remember?
The jock. He's clapping.
Clapping?
He's clapping for him. He's like, great job.
He does the classic villain clap of, I'm impressed you've made it this far.
But it fits his character so well.
Yeah. Oh, it's wonderful.
It's like, what was that?
And then he's like, I want you to run.
He's like, what was that? He's like, firework. He's like, really?
And he's like, I'm going to give you a head start. He's like, you're the fucking quarterback. There's no way I'm going to outrun you. And then he throws the aerosol can at his chest and just runs. He's like, fucker. And he chases him. But then we find the bully is there. He's about to choke him out and kill him. But instead, the jock makes him stand up for himself and go over.
Because they're like, what the hell is that sound? And then the guy's like, eggs. And he's like, somebody's egging your house right now?
Yeah, Jesus Christ. So he goes and he makes a plea to the bully who's egging his house. He's like, listen, there are people and dead bodies in the house. They're trying to kill me. They're all Satanists. I need your help. And then the bully is like pretending like he believes him. He's like, oh, really? Oh, okay. And he's like, okay, here's what we're going to do. On the count of 3, we're going to both jump on my bike and ride away. And he's like, 1, 2, and he slams an egg on his head. And he goes, have fun dying. and he just rides off. It's just the most brutal thing.
Like I said, he's probably the best bully
solid.
I've ever seen in an indie movie ever.
Number one bully.
Number one with a bully.
And then after
Remember that movie?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
That was like one of our first ones we did. Number one with a bullet. We have the jock basically shows back up and is like, "Yeah, well, at least you're trying to stood up for yourself, I guess."
Peacefully now.
Yes. And then he chases him again. They go to the treehouse, which was also established earlier in the film.
Everything that is in the last half of the film is established like in the first 20 minutes.
Yes. Even the ending sequence, too, for sure, with the car. They are doing renovations on the treehouse. I think they're tearing it down. So the whole roof of the treehouse is gone, is what they set up earlier in the film. So he climbs up the treehouse, and he's up there looking for the bully. I don't know how he loses track of the bully. That's kind of silly. But the bully climbs up a rope, and then when he turns around, the bully's not there anymore. He's like a ninja. I like how the characters and like the villains are ninjas, where they're there 1 second and gone the next.
Well, it gives them that kind of supernatural killer air to them, which is just silly, yeah.
Which is like reminiscent of Halloween or like other.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So he's up there, and he's the jock is like grabbed him. He's gonna kill him or whatever, but there's egg all over him. And all over Cole. And he's like, I don't want you to die with egg on your face. He's like, you deserve more than that. Because he's come to respect Cole for some reason. Because everything they've been through, and like he's killed other people too. So he's wiping the egg on him, and he gets egg on his hands. And I'm like, oh, he's going to slip. Because now he has egg on his hands. And that's exactly what happens. And he accidentally hangs himself. And it was pretty rad. Because the kid is hanging on the jock and then pulling him and then breaks his neck. It was pretty cool. Do you remember the
next
sequence
is like
after that?
He goes into the house and he, for some reason, I don't remember why, but he's trying to make sure that the cheerleader is dead because she's been shot, and they think that she's going to bleed out.
So there's very briefly he goes to his next door neighbors because is everyone dead besides the babysitter and the cheerleader, I think? And there's a whole really cute little sequence where he is like doing action hero stuff with her, and they kind of kiss in the bathroom, and he's like trying to protect her, and he's like, I'm gonna lock you in this bathroom, and he's like, the lock's on the inside, dumbass. and she's like, but it was really sweet of you to try to do that. The babysitter has a shotgun, and she's prowling through her neighbor's yard in the house looking for them. But what was dumb is like, why don't they both escape together? Why would he lock her in that bathroom? I don't know. Like they both could have
and one thing that we didn't point out, like it's impossible to talk about them all, but there's so many like little cute portions of dialogue. Like there's an exchange with Mom and Cole where they're talking about pussy and what that means. Mm-hmm. But one of my favorite ones is like the confusion between the word Protestant and prostitute. So like at one point, like Cole's like, "You're my own little Protestant," to the babysitter. She's like, "Do you mean prostitute?" And that's just like the worst thing to say to anybody.
Yeah, and then, it's so offensive. She's like, no.
And then while the girl that Melissa, I believe that you said her name was, her dad is Melanie. Her dad is like a grade A douchebag.
Oh, his character is great because he's got this.
Yeah, he has a muscle car, and then like whenever Cole's gonna be like one of the first times that we get Cole and Melanie together, Melanie's like, "Dad, can you take Cole home from school so he doesn't have to ride the bus?" And he's like, "Cole, your parents are probably expecting you to ride the bus, so I think you should." And it's like, "Well, thanks anyway."
They're next door neighbors.
He's like, "Thanks anyway." And he starts revving the engine. He's like, "What? NASCAR Nation."
I can't hear you. What? Oh. They established everyone to be like all the douches to be douches so well. And then when he's cleaning his car, he's holding the hose where his dick is and he's spraying his vehicle.
That's so funny. But anyway,
such a good shot.
Like why I bring that up is like the girl's like, "My dad's not home. He's with a Protestant right now."
Oh yes, I forgot about that. That's funny. They both think it's Protestant. All right, so then he runs into the cheerleader who he thinks is dead, which we all know she is not dead, right? So very briefly, this is kind of where the movie starts to fall apart for me. We have a very extended scene of the cheerleader complaining to the main character Cole about like, I just want to, have a good career and blah, blah, blah. And this is why I tried to do the ritual. And it's like they have this back and forth and he keeps calling her pretty. And he's like, but you're so smart and pretty. And it was just such a long extended scene that didn't need to be there. And it cut the flow of action that was happening. But then they show that the knife scene where he's like, oh, I remember the butcher knife is in the dishwasher. And then it cuts to the parents at the hotel, and the wife is giving the father a hand job. And she's like, honey, don't put the butcher knife in the dishwasher. You need to put it in the knife drawer or whatever. And then they cut back, and it's like the butcher knife's not where the kid thinks it is. I kind of like that. So, but it's just, I don't know why that cheerleader character got so annoying for me in those final moments when she was okay. It just really felt like they were padding the film.
Maybe.
I don't know what was going on there. Then the babysitter shows up, blows the cheerleader's head off, and goes, oh, that bitch was so annoying. And I guess we're kind of supposed to go, oh, thank God. But then I'm just kind of like, just don't have any of that in the film. I don't know. It just felt like a waste. And then the babysitter was kind of like, hey, I killed her and not you because I've chosen you. And she starts to do what I thought she should have done a while ago, is try to indoctrinate him into her weird cult thing and be like, I'll just use your blood, you'll live with me or whatever, and we'll be best friends. And then he takes the book hostage, threatens to burn it, and she kind of explains what's going on, because he's like, tell me everything that's going on, which is what I wanted to know, but she doesn't tell us anything new. You know what I mean? Like, she doesn't give us any new information. And he burns the book, and she freaks out and tries to put it out, and then he runs away. Of course, he gets into that car, right? Classic movie.
This is the ending of the
fucking
film.
car keys are in the
This
car,
is the ending
which
of the
would
film.
never
I love
happen.
this.
But go ahead.
I love this.
This is silly.
This is my...
I don't know.
It's so good.
Go ahead.
So he gets in the car, and he has this, like you said, keys in the, in the car. He turns it on. He says 10 and 2 out loud, and then a graphic of a clock comes on the steering wheel, and you're like, oh, that's fun, because it's a little fucking kid. And then We Are the Champions by Queen starts playing. And he speeds down the street, and it's only, not even a block away. It's literally just 50 feet away from their house. They're next door neighbors.
They're next door neighbors.
He drives as fast as he can down this 50-foot stretch, hits his treehouse roof, ramps into the air in slow motion, and crushes the babysitter where she stands inside the house. Oh.
Yeah. So the ramp has been set up already.
So good.
The idea of a car hitting a ramp and spinning in just the right way, it was set up earlier because he was talking about that with his RC car. He's like, I want to get this RC car just right, so when it hits the ramp, it's going to do a spin, and it's going to look really good.
Yep.
But he does that with a real car. So I liked all of that. But it just didn't make any sense that his plan was to crash the vehicle into
And that's
the
why I
house
liked
and
it
kill
so
her.
much, because it didn't make any fucking sense.
He could have got into the vehicle with his girlfriend and they could have drove off together.
No, he has to
and
vanquish his
escaped.
foes. He has to man up. You said it yourself.
He's got to confront his fears, I guess. I understand that. And it was over the top. He runs her over. Then they have this long final death scene with the babysitter where she's like, not all of that was fake. I still like you a lot, and I'm sorry things turned out this way, blah, blah, blah. And then it's kind of like him growing up in that moment, and like, you were my best friend and everything else. And he starts going over his top 6 exploration sci-fi team with her, and the last 2 are them. And she's like, I didn't know we could include us. He's like, it's sci-fi. You can do whatever you want. It's all made up. And I was like, oh, that was kind of cute. And it's kind of a sad moment. I felt like it kind of went on for too long. There's just a lot of things near the end of the film that just went on for too long.
It may be padding, because the film was already
distracted
it was only
me
an hour
from
and
the
18 minutes
movie.
long. So it probably could have been less than that, honestly.
The film was starting to get too wordy where we didn't need that. It was disrupting the flow of the movie for me. And then I guess I don't know if she passes out or whatever, but then parents show up, bullies see how cool he is. He's like, whoa, I heard he killed 10 people and flipped a car. And then they do this weird thing with their hands where they do the praise the sun motion where they put their hands up like it's Dark Souls. What was up with that?
Acknowledging you. But then
What were
the other
bullies
bully,
doing?
the main
Yeah, it
bully,
was
he's like,
weird.
he's still not having it. And he's like, man, whatever. But then Cole's parents show up and run over the bully's car, or the bully's bike. Yeah.
The bully has a car.
He says it's he named his bike, he's like Shelly or something.
But so then we have that happily ever after ending or whatever. And he's like, Mom and Dad, I don't need a babysitter anymore. It's like, whoa. But did you
No.
watch the rest of the credits?
What happens?
So there's a hidden thing at the end where the firefighters are going through the house, and the babysitter is there, and the babysitter attacks the firefighter with a knife. And then it cuts away. So the babysitter is still alive. Oh my God. And I kind of believe that because I'm thinking the babysitter is a supernatural entity. Like, she's done so many wishes with the ritual. She probably can live forever unless she gets her head cut off or something. I don't know.
So maybe the Babysitter 2 is going to come out.
Maybe. I don't know.
I would
probably watch it. Final thoughts. I did like this movie. It gets a little much for me at the end, but overall it was very well done, very well acted, directed. The editing was great. All of that was great.
Yes.
Really good. Good stuff.
Of course I do. Of course I do. It was silly and it made me laugh. It's a fun Friday night movie.
Yeah.
I would have liked to watch that in the theaters rather than Marvel.
So, Danny,
I do have a film. I'm so excited for it. Even though, like, Netflix this last week released a shitload of really cool looking movies that I want to watch, I'm going to decide on this one. So, it is directed by Duncan Jones. That is David Bowie's son. He is the one who did Moon. He did Source Code. He did that terrible fucking Warcraft movie, but that was probably just to get money. Yeah,
hey, that movie made a lot of money.
Probably only did it to get money to do this film. So this one is called Mute. 2018. When his girlfriend vanishes, a mute man ventures into a near-future Berlin's seamy underworld, where his actions speak louder than words. And it has Alan Skarsgård, Paul Rudd, and Justin Theroux. And Justin Theroux, for some reason, has long blonde hair in this film, where I've never seen him with anything else besides short black hair. So he looks kind of strange.
Dan, have you looked up any of the ratings for this movie?
Is it bad?
I accidentally looked at them. Do you want me to tell you?
Sure.
12% on Rotten Tomatoes.
What? No.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah. 53% of audiences liked it out of almost 1,000 ratings. And the reviewers, it's 59 reviewers. So, I don't know. You know what? That only means that my expectations are lower, but that's better for the film because if it jumps over that bar,
I'm looking at all the ones
that
are 1 star on Netflix, and it's saying, like, everyone who has 1 star, the blank out of blank members have found this review helpful. So 3 out of 17 members thought this review was good. So
who knows? Because I thought The Babysitter was going to be terrible, and it was fucking fantastic. So you never know until you watch the film. I'm just saying, though. It's interesting to me. Because I feel like recently there have been movies that we liked a lot where it was like, why is this rating so low? Because this movie's fucking good. So we'll see. I'm excited to see it. I don't know anything about it. So,
yes.
And you said it was a sci-fi?
Sci-fi, I believe.
I want to find good sci-fi, man. I'm ready for a good sci-fi.
I've been waiting for this movie for a while. I think it's going to be good.
Cool. Yeah. Anything with David Bowie's kin, I am down. So I hope this is something, guys. Find us where you're going to find us. We're running a little long, so Dan, you have the final word.
My intergalactic space team is the 2 Fastbenders from Alien Covenant. So that's 2 down, right? That's they have to be, homosexually involved. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Then
Skin Flute.
Then
Skin Flute.
Fuck, I don't remember his name, but the sexual Tyrannosaurus from fucking Predator, Jesse Ventura, him as that character. That's 3, and then the Wonder Twins and the little monkey from Mega Man Legends, Data.